The Pro Chart and Ticker Rankings pages are two of the most important pages on the TickerTrends platform, in my personal opinion. And the reason being is because on TickerTrends, you've categorized all this data by specific tickers or categories, depending on what you're trying to do. And now you can actually rank the data or analyze the data based on the cumulative fact that you now have all of this data associated with each of these categories or tickers. So basically what I'm trying to say is, let's say that I have a stock such as Celsius, so CELH, and I've added some data to that. So I have some trend values and I have a web value. I also have price data since Celsius is a stock, so we're able to get the web data, the price data for that as well. Then now I want to look at all of the trend data I have added to Celsius. I want to look at all of the web data I have added to Celsius, as well as the price data, for example. And now I want to do this for all of the tickers I've added to the website, and then I can rank the tickers based on all of the associated data. So you might be thinking, well, what if I have multiple trend values or multiple web values, multiple social values added to a specific ticker? Basically what TickerTrends does whenever you're creating your custom formula for the ticker's ranking page is it just averages those values together, so that it's just much easier for you to handle the data whenever you're creating your custom formulas. So let me give you an example. So of course the ticker's ranking page, as you could probably imagine, is heavily focused around this custom formula feature that I've already talked about a little bit on the data tables pages. And this video is also assuming that you've already seen the data table video as well as the tickers video, as those are two very important videos to understanding the TickerTrends platform. But once you've gone to the ticker rankings page, you can go to custom formula once again. And here there's some differences with the normal data tables in terms of a custom formula. And the difference is that on the tickers ranking page, you can actually add whole new columns of custom formulas, and there's much more customization as to what you can do with these custom formulas. So here, for example, I currently have two custom formulas, one for cryptocurrency, one for stocks, which I'm just calling trend, price, web. However, let's say I want to create a new custom formula. So this is going to create a new column on the tickers ranking page. So I'm going to call this example 3. And I'm just going to make a very, very simple formula for this just as an example. So price 15% gain, and then a web 3-month percentage gain. I forgot to add an operator. So web 3-month percentage gain. And now I'm going to hit the create button. So this is now going to create the formula. Once I hit create, it'll take a second. And then now I see this new formula create a new column with all of the calculated values based on that formula. So on this page, you can delete, create, update formulas for each column that you have ranking the tickers. And the reason why this is useful is because, as you can see here, I have two different formulas, one for stocks, one for cryptocurrency. And then it gives you more granularity in terms of being able to sort data. Maybe you can also create formulas that kind of build off of each other. So let's say that I have one formula that takes into account trend, price, and web data. But I also want to have another column that's only web data. So once I rank the data based on the trend, price, and web column, then I can also see the calculated value for the formula that's only taking into account the web data. So there's a lot that you can do with this custom formula feature and also creating multiple columns of custom formulas. However, again, this is just the overview kind of tutorial video, so I'm just going to go surface level as to what this is supposed to be used for. But now that you have an idea of how you can create new custom formulas for the ticker rankings page and how these formulas work in terms of averaging out all of the values that you have associated with the ticker, then you can sort the data based on those custom formulas. So here, for example, I'm going to look at a cryptocurrency value that I was looking at earlier. So here I noticed one of the top ranking cryptocurrencies for the custom formula that I created was Atom. So once you find Atom, I will now show you the Pro Charts feature. So I'm going to search Atom in the tickers section. Then I'm going to select the data that I want to look at for it. So that is trend data and social data, because that's the data that I have associated with this ticker. Then I'm going to now enable the Pro Chart feature. Now, there are a couple of differences with the Pro Chart, as you can see here, compared to the regular charts. So whenever you don't have the Pro Chart feature enabled, each chart will just be one chart worth of data. So you'll have a new chart for each trend value, a new chart for each social value, for each web value, etc. However, with the Pro Chart, the difference is that this is made to be able to compare all of the data you have associated with the ticker directly to the price action. So it's much easier to be able to analyze how the data has been affected, or how the price has been affected by the data that you're looking at. So maybe you see that in the past, whenever the data has performed exceedingly well, then it takes the price maybe an extra 3 weeks, an extra month, or maybe it takes until the earnings for the price to catch up with the alternative data. There's a lot of things that you can learn in terms of analyzing the price compared to the alternative data over time, in addition to where the alternative data currently is, as well as the price. So here, let's change it to all periods. I tend to like to have a longer term view of what's going on. So now we can see this is the price of Atom, which is a cryptocurrency, over time. And we can also see the social values here, or sorry, all of the data values associated with this ticker. So I'm going to add some moving averages to this because social data is very choppy unless you have moving averages. So here we go, add some moving averages. Then you will be able to see that this is much more readable now because this yellow line and the green line, these are two social data values. And you can see that Cosmos on Twitter has been performing exceedingly well. It's just spiking recently. And Atom is also on a general uptrend. It's being pretty strong, especially compared to where it was at during some of the bull markets. It's definitely starting to go up again. And this, in combination with the price action, where you can kind of see it's in this upwards accumulation phase. And when we look at the trends value, overall, I wouldn't say that this is an exceedingly good trends value, but you can see that it's still relatively high compared to where it's been. And ever since this spike in around, if we disable the other data, it's easier to read. Ever since this spike around January of this year, it's still remained relatively high. And again, you have to keep this with a grain of salt. Cosmos is a pretty general term, so there might be other things that people are searching related to Cosmos. It might not be specifically the cryptocurrency, but these Twitter values are much more accurate in terms of most likely where the cryptocurrency is heading, especially the $ Atom Twitter value, which you can see here, and you can compare it to the price data. So this is all super helpful analysis in terms of being able to look at the price action, how the price has reacted to the alternative data in the past, as well as where the alternative data might be indicating the price could head in the future. I also want to give an example of a stock just because the general analysis and thought process might be different whenever you're looking at stocks versus cryptocurrency. So I'll just use the Celsius example here since it's the highest ranking stock for my custom formula. So here I'm just going to look at web and trend values, and I'm going to enable the Pro Chart once again. As I mentioned before, the Pro Chart is much more helpful in my opinion when you're looking at longer time frames. So we can see here that based on my custom formula, I was looking for stocks that are performing well in terms of price, as well as the trend and web values. So if we're looking at the trend and web values here, you can see they're all basically in a general uptrend. But again, I'm going to add a moving average to this so it's a little bit easier to read. So once I've added the moving averages to the trend values, you can now see that for Celsius, for this stock specifically, the trend values have been performing exceedingly well. And this is actually a stock that I've been looking at for quite a while now. I've been tracking, it's an energy drink company that's a competitor to Red Bull, but it's marketing more towards the healthier side. And this company has been performing very, very well for a long time now. It's been growing quite quickly. And so this is a really great example of a company that performs very well in terms of alternative data analysis because I can look at where consumer trends are headed in terms of the web values, which you can see here are super, super strong in terms of growth for this year so far, as well as the trend values where you can see clearly consumer interest for this product has massively increased over time. And actually, this is a good example of where you can see an opportunity that would have came up recently. For example, if I was looking at these trend values on the Pro Chart right around when Celsius was starting to dip, and of course there are other factors for why a stock can go up or down, but let's say that the economy was a little bit weaker at this time. However, I was seeing that the alternative data values were pointing towards a very, very exceedingly strong quarter compared to prior quarters. Most likely, even if the economy is weak, if a company is still experiencing massive growth, it can still break the trend of the general market. And I'd say that's what Celsius has been able to do, just based on these abnormal growth numbers that you're able to see on the TickerTrends platform, based on some of the data that you can be tracking with it. So this is a really great example of how you can use the Pro Chart in combination with the Ticker Rankings page in order to find opportunities that you weren't previously aware of. Now, again, I was given an example of Celsius as a company that I've already heard of before and that I've been tracking previously. However, there are a lot of companies here that I've really basically never heard of, or I've never done any in-depth analysis into. However, with the TickerTrends platform, I'm able to learn, maybe FSLR is something that I should look into, because my custom formula and the parameters that I'm looking for based on assertive data and any other data on the TickerTrends platform indicate to me that this is something that might meet my parameters in terms of when I can look to enter a position, in terms of a market that I need to do more research into, or if I'm doing it on the flip side where I'm looking for positions, companies that are performing not very well, companies that are underperforming, then I can also create a custom formula for that and do the exact same thing and look for companies that maybe are not selling very well, consumer trends have been in the negatives, whatever it may be. The Ticker Rankings page and the Pro Chart are very, very important to using the TickerTrends platform successfully.